Hello, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back to the Believe in Iowa State podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter.
And I'm your host, Cody Manciello.
Cody, yeah, unfortunately, with the women exiting early, we have to ask something. It seems like is the women's basketball team falling apart?
I think this will might be a bit too early to say officially it's falling apart, but there is good reason for people to start considering it because we've learned recently in the past 48 hours, half of the women's basketball rosters entered. The names include Eiley Tankey, a sophomore out of Johnston, Iowa, guard out of Johnston, Iowa, standout. Freya Jensen, a freshman guard from Denmark. Reagan Wilson, a sophomore guard from Noblesville, Indiana. Lily Talalay, a junior center from Wellington, New Zealand. Race Beatty, a freshman guard from Jamestown, Tennessee. And this one is the biggest name of them all for Iowa State, and one of the biggest names that's going to be in the transfer portal for women's basketball. Star junior forward Addie Brown entered the portal last night on Monday. So if that doesn't tell you possibly things falling apart, then I don't know what will.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw, but Talia Goodman also saw. I don't know if you saw the update. It was I think it was like a few hours ago now, around 10 something, where I believe Addie Brown had a do not contact tag. I don't know
Yeah,
if that was confirmed or not.
yeah, I think she confirmed it, but that's a pretty common thing for trans people in general because, for highly touted people that
Hmm.
are entering the portal, that's a common thing because it's kind of like the thing where it's like you don't want they want to be able to control where they want to go. They don't want to be spammed with agents and other people calling and schools calling because Addie Brown, like I just said, she's gonna be like a highly valuable asset for any team that's gonna be looking to really level up because of what she brings to the table with her do it all style of play.
Yeah. I will say like she's definitely in a big good spot, especially for probably one of the blue bloods. I can see her going to one of those big schools,
Mm.
or maybe
Yeah.
maybe go back home to like either Kansas or K State.
Hmm. I mean, that is possible, but I would think early on the team that you would consider her possibly. I know some people have been throwing around Ole Miss, may have thrown I don't know, maybe a UConn or a UCLA, and this is the one that I know it's gonna gross me out the most is Iowa.
I can see that. Yeah.
That would gross me out so bad because it would be worse than when Kylie Feuerbach transferred to Iowa after 1 year at Iowa State because Kylie Feuerbach didn't necessarily do too much at Iowa State in her 1 year
Hmm.
in Ames, but that would be disgusting behavior if Addie Brown wants to go to Iowa after spending 3 years at Iowa State and understanding the Cyhawk rivalry.
And I can understand the Kylie Fairbeck one because she's from Sycamore, Illinois. And if you look at it, Iowa City is closer to Sycamore, Illinois than Ames is. So I guess I can understand that one. It just sucks that she ended up going to the Hawks.
Hmm. And I mean, this also comes into question too. With all these people leaving, people are throwing out speculations of is Bill Fennelly going to be fired? Is he going to retire? Or because that was a question that was this was being thrown around. And I mean, even right after the game against Syracuse, Tommy Birch, I believe, asked Audie Crooks and Jada Williams and Addie Brown, among other players, what was the plan for them? And the quote that Audie Crooks gave was, the main priority for us right now, I'm paraphrasing what she said in that post game with Tommy Birch, where our main priority is to make sure that our team, everybody on our team's okay and whatnot. And this was kind of the same thing that happened last year when, after the women exited the tournament last year, around around the 64, that same question came around. Like we were wondering, are they going to transfer out, and is it Bill Felly's time to go? Is it time for him to retire? And I mean, this is now 2 years in a row where the women's basketball team started out with high expectations, started out in the top 10. You're thinking this is a team that can make a deep run, go to the host a few games, maybe make a run to the Elite Eight or Final Four. But once again, it's a crash and burn situation. You go from top 10 preseason to crash and burning in the first round of the NCAA tournament. The big thing that was the reason for a big part of it was Addie Brown's injury, and you could tell
Hmm.
she just wasn't the same after it, and it certainly really hit the team.
Yeah, I mean, and it sucks that you have like such unmarketable players such as
Audie
Audie
Crooks.
Crooks, and who's on commercials everywhere. She's on national news broadcast, and she's like well beloved even on the Pat McAfee show. So like, I
Hmm.
mean, she's a national figure, but like, it doesn't really help that this team is bowing out in the first round and only
Hmm.
being in like what was it last year they made it into the first four as an
Yeah.
11 seed.
Yep.
They're severely underperforming, and it's just a shame.
Yeah. And I feel like that's just it's the unfortunate thing because yeah, like on paper you have such a talented roster, um, but they bowed out. Obviously, you've already got the transfers that are um, kind of already entered their name with intentions to play in. But now the worry is like, do you think Jada Williams is going to enter the portal? Do you think Audie like the big one would be if Audie Crooks enters the portal because that is a deep consideration. Like, how bad of
Man,
an impact would that be if Audie was to leave?
that I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and maybe this is hyperbolic, but I think that would cripple the women's program. Like your biggest star leaving, and like
Hmm.
I think, and I really honestly think that Jada's gonna be in lockstep with Audie Crooks, and then seeing where she's gonna go. I think she's gonna follow whatever um Audie does.
I feel like maybe I would think more Jada would probably more likely fall with what Addie Brown does, considering they're from like around the same area, from like the Kansas
Oh
City
yeah, she is
area,
KC. Yeah.
and I think if I remember correctly, they were doing AAU ball together. So that's just a thought, man. And everybody's like we thrown out our opinions, and obviously like the big one would be does is it time for Bill Fennelly to kind of retire because for everything that he's done, and I mean he's been here for a very long time. He's one of the longest like active coaches in D1, like for just about any sport. But it just feels like these last few years, like the game has passed by. It feels like, and there are fans ready for change.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen some discourse from the diehard fans. I know the diehard fans are getting really defensive of the women's team. Unfortunately, that's what happens when a team like that gets more popular and gets more eyes on it. They're gonna be subject to a lot more criticism because this fan base wants to win.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they wasted, like you had great momentum their freshman year, going
Hmm.
toe to toe with Cameron Brink and Stanford, and then you just followed up with 2 years of disappointment. So
Yeah.
I mean, something has to change, and something has to change quick.
Yeah, and maybe that's just us looking from the outside in because if you think about too, like how like hard it would be like to move on from like a guy like Bill Fennelly because
Right.
yeah, these last couple of years have been great, but at the same time, he literally like is the pulse of the women's team. 26
Oh yeah.
NCAA tournaments in 30 some years. You've got a couple of titles to go along with it, a couple regular season titles, a couple tournament titles, and a couple of deep runs too. And I think if like the whole big picture of it, yeah, it would be kind of difficult. It would be difficult to let him go. And I think more likely than not, I think they're going to let him go on his own terms, if anything. And plus, we talk about financials, like too. You get rid of him, like you might cut off like a good chunk of like fans who probably like paid season tickets for, because that's another thing. And
Mhm.
that's just in general with like women's basketball, because women's basketball in general is a non-revenue sport, but the state of Iowa is where like you have um, two of the more like profitable women's basketball teams with like the obviously the marketability of Audie Brooks and her national landscape, and obviously Iowa be like having like literally like a generational player and somebody that we're probably not going to see for a very long time.
Right.
And I mean, not to poke fun at Iowa real quick, but even Iowa fans like only year two for that for Jay and Jets' administration, and some of them probably want her gone after what happened to them on Monday. Being a two seed, you're at your home arena, and you lose in shocking fashion, double overtime to 10 seed Virginia.
Yeah.
Yes, and I mean that's a blow for. I think this past week in general has been a blow for like women's basketball fans here in the state of Iowa. Both Iowa and Iowa State bowing out in the first weekend.
Yeah. Well, we wish them luck in there. off
Yeah,
seasons, and we'll
yeah,
see how the makeup and see what else goes on in the transfer portal.
yeah.
All right,
And
Cody. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't this feel like deja vu of what happened with football? And I made a meme that said
My
like,
goodness, man.
I don't know, these last 9 months for athletics has been kind of wild, and
Haven't we suffered enough? Golly.
I guess not.
You know what? No, you know what? We have an important game to talk about. We have a Sweet 16 game to cover. Let's get into it. Let's get into a deep dive and talk
Mhm.
about the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yep.
Now, Cody, I know you said that you did watch some film. I guess what was one of the things that stood out to you when you were watching film on Tennessee?
Obviously, the big name that I think for the Tennessee Volunteers, like outside of Rick Barnes, it would be Gillespie, star
Oh,
guard.
Gillespie, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be like probably the main. He's gonna be the main guy for them, and then Nate Ahmet and the Tennessee basketball team. We talked about height. This team, this is a really tall team. I think their average height, like Nate Ahmet, is like a 6'10" forward. So that's a
Yeah.
spot where if you don't have like a Joshua Jefferson, that might be difficult for you to have. But I mean, those two are going to be like your main guys to look forward to. And in their game against Virginia, it was like a kind of a back and forth game. I mean, both Tennessee and Virginia like, were going back and forth, and there were points in time where I felt like they were just trying to hand each other the game. It was a pretty ugly game, but Tennessee was really able to get the win. And I mean, you got four guys in, or five guys actually in double digit points. Gillespie went 3 of 5 from three and shot for 21 points total. Tennessee went 8 of 19 from three for a total of 42%. But historically speaking, Tennessee isn't a great 3 point shooting team.
They are not. And actually, I do have the stats to back it up. This is from sportsreference.com. Here are a few stats to back up that claim. And at least this will just show their percentages this year. And this is basically per game, per team. So you look at right here, and you look 295th in the nation. So they average about 8 mix a game, and then they average about uh 26 per game, which is 310th in the nation. Their percentage is 34%. So they shoot about 34%, which is best for 183rd in the nation. So I guess they're not really that good of a 3 point shooting team.
Mm-hmm.
So this is they're gonna obviously their game is to like play inside and use their bigs.
Yeah.
Obviously with native men and guys like Felix Akpara and also I believe Jalen Carey.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean the way they make up for that 3 point shooting, not shooting great, is really that rebounding. Uh, they are one of the best teams when it comes to offensive rebounding, and what they're gonna do. This would be my like the game plan that I understand Tennessee's gonna do. They're gonna get into
Hmm.
their bigs. They're gonna put up a bunch of shots and go for those second chance points. And that's a spot where if you're Iowa State, your game plan probably this whole week is you gotta emphasize glass, 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 be physical down low, and do not let them get second chance points. Because there have been times where that has killed Iowa State is giving up second chance points. But usually it's to teams that like can really stretch you out a bit because the 3 point shooting is a spot where Iowa State they've run into teams that can really shoot the jump shots. They can shoot the lights out if you give them the open shots. We saw it with Texas Tech. We've seen it in the past with BYU. So that is a spot where Iowa State needs to ensure to beat Tennessee is to not let Tennessee get second chance points. So that means if you're Blake Buchanan, if you're Dominicus Plata, you
Hmm.
got to be physical in the glass. And this is also a spot where Taman Lipsy can come in and really do his thing and get those rebounds too. Because Iowa State in the game against Kentucky, they only allowed 5 offensive rebounds that whole game.
And I mean, let's just talk about this because you look. we'll take a look at the Kempom rankings, and it really does it a justice, and it shows you the pace of play. I believe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I guess while you look at that, take a look at the. So I'm looking at. We talked about 3 point percentage a little
yeah.
bit. I've got a chart from College Basketball Analytics on Twitter, and Tennessee is in the bottom left quadrant. They are an outlier. They don't shoot that many threes, but they also don't make that many threes. Meanwhile, Iowa State, they're about as like in the middle as you can get because they attempt about 40 some percent their shots from three, but they also land about 36%. I can actually just show that here. I mean, if you're Iowa State, you like this for your team. Like, just look how perfect this is.
Oh yeah. Man. No,
So,
I'm not saying I do not. I now I'm not gonna like. Yes, you should keep them. You should force them to shoot threes. I just don't want to leave them open. Like
yeah,
yes, more than not, they're not. I don't like leaving open shots. Like because if you leave them open, they're gonna make them.
yeah,
And like for me, I wanna go in. I wanted to show you the pace of play, for Kempom.
yeah,
Um, here I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
yeah. Yeah, I think something that like Rick Barnes wants to do, I believe Tennessee, they want to play like a slower style of pace.
Oh
So
yeah,
they
yeah,
want to really take the air out of the ball, really look
yes.
for and really maximize their possessions. Yeah. So for
So you
Tennessee,
see, yeah. So you see in the Justin Temple right here. If we go down to Tennessee right here, they are at 305th nationally, and pace of play. So yeah, it's so like you see, like you said, they want to slow it down. And one thing, the one thing I do like about this is that in the teams that we've played this year, we're 2-0 against teams that like to play a slow it down type of game. We played this type of game against Iowa, which was tough. We won, luckily, and we went on an insane run. And then Houston, like
yeah,
in both of those, in the Houston game, the game, and also Arizona. Arizona
yeah,
also plays sort of that type of game.
mhm,
And we actually did very well on the glass, like in Houston and in the Arizona game. So I
yeah,
think just like them slowing it down, I think one of the things that we're gonna have to do is to force their guards to speed them up, and then if they're let's see if their bigs are able to handle that ball pressure, and see if we can force them into, like, if, let's say on the sidelines, if Gillespie has the ball and we with the ball pressure, with that elite ball pressure that we have, and see if he gets out of sorts.
yeah. Tennessee is the kind of team that they want to try and like really not be passing out like out. Like they really want to try to get like off the dribble, but you're not going to be able to do that. Iowa State is going to force you to make
Hmm.
quicker decisions, and that's where the intangibles do favor Iowa State. A lot of it does favor the Cyclones. I mean,
Yes,
it
it does.
speaks. If you look at like how Iowa State like what they did in the game against Kentucky is they gave Kentucky some of those backdoor cuts, but then that was an adjustment that was made literally within the game, within the media timeout. Iowa State took that away. So if Iowa State is able to really force the pressure on Tennessee, Tennessee is one of those teams that is also turnover prone. And
Yes.
not to say that Tennessee and Kentucky are like at like are gonna you're gonna be like do the same game plan, but they are kind of similar in that regard, where you force them into turnovers, they're more than likely going to turn the ball over. And you compare Tennessee Kentucky. Kentucky actually beat Tennessee twice in the regular season and doing it being the more physical team. So I think if you're Iowa State, you take what you did against Kentucky and kind of put that against Tennessee. Now, obviously, you're going against a better guard in
Hmm.
Gillespie, and I'm curious, where do you like who do you have as the first like who's going to be the assignment on Gillespie?
So as we go into the key matches of this game, I think that for him, I think that he's going to be matched up on Killian Torre. That's going to be the matchup, I think, between Gillespie and Torre. Ament, I think it's either going to be on. if Joshua Jefferson plays, I think that's going to be his assignment. But it's probably going to be either Plata or I think it's probably going to be either Plata or it's going to be Buchanan on Ament, and the other big that's going to be in there. It's probably going to be Heisey. That's probably going to be Heisey's assignment if Joshua Jefferson is able to play.
Yeah, yeah, Heisey, I feel like he's gonna obviously be mismatch, but that would be like somewhere where who knows, maybe he starts on a Met and gives him a different look. Obviously, a Met's gonna have the height matchup,
Hmm.
but I feel like Heisey, with the way he's been playing, he's not gonna worry about that. Like he's not gonna care that he's way shorter than him. He's gonna really press Nate Met from the jump and really force him to make quick and smart decisions.
Yeah, getting boards, honestly, Cody, is really just more of an effort thing. Like,
Hmm.
yes, there's size, but you gotta be it. Like getting rebounds is like a want to and an effort type of thing.
Yeah,
So I think we just gotta have high energy, like we have been the last two games, and I really don't think that like the way we've played, I don't think we're gonna go away from that.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so this is like, I mean, for Iowa State, and I think also you want to continue like the guard play that you've had the last couple of
Hmm.
games because you don't want to put up the chance that yes, you may get Jefferson, you may not get Jefferson, but why worry about that when you could just have like Jamarian Bateman, Killian Torre, Nate Heisey, Taven Lipsey continue uh, to ball out because in that Kentucky game, Taven Lipsey definitely took the reins of that because he was like he was not going to lose that game. He was going to make sure
Oh,
that
he was
I was.
determined. He's like, yeah. He even said after the game, he was like, hey, oh, I didn't want to go home early. He's like, and hopefully we can be here for another 2 3 weeks. So he's determined to win a national championship.
And he's seen it all. Like he, the and I think he was asked to like he was asked like, did you remember the four-letter word? Taylor Lipsey said yes, I remember the pit game because definitely had that feeling too in that game when the like when Iowa State got to the slow start that it kind of felt like the pit game all over again,
Yeah,
where they were just sagging off Taven Lipsey. They were like, he's not going to make it. We're just going to leave him wide open. And I think you took that, and also the remembering of losing to Ole Miss in the round of 32 last year, that
yeah,
stuck with Taman Lipsey as well. And he wasn't really healthy that year, but I think this year now with like a really healthy Lipsey, probably the healthiest that he's been, he's playing the best basketball of his Iowa State career, and it comes at a really good time. So yeah, for Iowa State, this really sets up well for them to go in and really get a good win to move on to the Elite Eight for the first time since 2000.
and with that, like and one thing I wanted to add before we left, or before we leave this segment, I just also think that you know like we have heard just from each fan base that oh yeah, both of us play really good defense. I think it's going to depend on which team shows up with more energy. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
determine the outcome of this game. Also, you know, obviously before we get to prediction, we're going to give our keys to victory. So Cody, for you, what are three things that you're looking for in this game for the Cyclones to advance to Sunday?
Number one is physicality. You got to be more physical. Bring it on the defense and offensive end. You just got to want it more. Get those offensive and defensive rebounds. And the defensive rebounds leads to my second point. No, you don't give up second chance points. Do not give Tennessee second chance opportunities. You know they're just going to chuck up a bunch of shots from the paint, and they're going to look to get those second chance boards. So don't even give them that. And then number three, the guards continue to play like they have been the last, like they played last week. Continue to get Taman Lipsey playing his best basketball. Continue to get good contributions from Heisey, Torre, and Jamarian Bateman.
Mm-hmm.
And then you complement that with Milan obviously continuing his great year. So you got to have somebody that can really help out Milan Momcilovic because it can't just be him putting up 20, 20, 25 points every game. You got to get a couple other guys to put up 15 to 20 points, and that's where it looks at Taman Lipsey and a mix of Torrey, Bateman, and Heisey for at least one of them to put up 15 points.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely need some distribution of scoring. Um, I know for me, is yeah, for number one for me is yeah defensive intensity on the glass. Um, this is I would be I know Otts is preaching to Heisey and Plata and Buchanan to crash the boards, crash the boards, crash the boards, crash the board, crash the boards. And the good thing about Buchanan is Buchanan has showed up against elite competition the entire year. He's had great games against Houston, great game against Arizona and the conference tournament, and he's just been on one ever since the conference, ever since we started in Kansas City in the Arizona State game.
Yeah,
So,
it seems like Blake Buchanan plays up to the level of competition.
oh
So
yeah,
that'll be really good. And if you get Plata doing the same, that is going to be like a really fun like front court.
yeah, and then number two for me is going to be the guard play. I think you're definitely going to need to get more out of Jamarian Bateman, and I think it was really big for him to shoot to get that see that shot go down.
Hmm.
Sometimes you
Yeah,
can get the yips and like
yeah,
and your confidence will get shaken. But I think he needed to see that shot go in because I could see this could be a game where I could see him hitting maybe two or three threes that we're gonna definitely gonna need.
hmm, yeah. It's like I think I was listening to the CW pod yesterday with George Niang on the show. He compared Jermaine Bateman to Tyrus McGee in the way that he was just like shucking it up with confidence. Because that's what I like about Jermaine Bateman. That's an intangible he has is whether he's going 4 of 8 or one of like 5 from 3, he's still going to put up those 3 pointers.
Oh, definitely, man. I'm really excited to see what he does, and definitely Killian Torrey is like seeing what he puts up,
Oh,
and
he's
then
got his back.
yeah, he definitely has his confidence back, and you saw it in the way he played in the Kentucky game. Lastly, the final key to this game is forced turnovers. Obviously, you already know that Tennessee is going to be playing a slow pace and keep doing what you've been doing the entire year. I know some people think that this defense is a gimmick. It's not a gimmick. There's a reason why this defense has been a top five defense the entire year
Hmm.
in Ken Palm, and just you obviously have seen it. We basically force turnovers in every single game, and every time that we haven't, like we've lost. So like I think the ball pressure is going to be key in this game, and making sure that we get off those because you already know if we stay on those keys for too long, someone's going to be open for three, and you know that. And even though Tennessee is a bad 3 point shooting team, if you leave them open, they're going to hit them. So
Yeah.
I think just staying on their keys defensively and executing.
Hmm.
That's my third one. And lastly, Cody, will the Iowa State Cyclones make it to the Elite Eight?
I think all the intangibles and a lot of the advantages they line up for Iowa State, and just the way they play and when it transitions. Because Tennessee, like I said, very a familiar team, like a similar team to Kentucky, and I mean, unless Iowa State has like a really bad night shooting, like what happened against Arizona and Tucson, Iowa State, this is a very favorable game for them to win and go to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Because I think if you matched up against Virginia, I think Virginia was the more complete team, and they would have probably given Iowa State more problems with their their completeness as a team. Tennessee has flaws that we've seen, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, again, it all comes down to just the physicality and really being the because who we talk about this with TJ Otzelberger, and I think this is something to talk about. Like, who is going to be a tougher team than a team that has been going at it for 4 months, waking up at 6 a.m., going to a soccer field, and doing those workouts?
Yeah, Iowa State's going to be the tougher team. That they definitely have to prove that in this game. I think they will, because we've heard from Tennessee fans talking, saying, "Oh, we're physical too." I'm like, "You're not as physical as us, though." I was like, when you just go back to back to back to where you have to play Houston and then Kansas,
Hmm.
and then you end with Texas Tech and Arizona in in the same weekend. Like
Hmm.
I just don't know if you even really have that type of run in the SEC. Like
Yeah, and
I don't
and
know.
obviously Tennessee, they're going to be more mentally tough because we made Kentucky quit. Now I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
Tennessee is going to be the same, but I think if you bring that intensity to Tennessee, they're probably going to give you more of a fight. But I still think you can find a way to translate that defensive intensity effort and translate that to Chicago, and you'll be able to win that because you can win this game without Joshua Jefferson. I think,
I
and
do
the
too.
way Iowa State has been able to move the ball and move with urgency because you don't have like the All American at your luxury is no shade to Joshua Jefferson. But there were times where the offense kind of got stagnant for a bit because Jefferson would hold the ball and try to get space only to like dribble and be prone to turnovers. But now you have guys that are playing more urgency. They're like they got to step up, so they're going to be more flowing offensively. They're going to move the ball around and really get those backdoor cuts and really make that extra effort.
Oh, that's for sure. Do you have a score prediction?
I looked at the lines for this game, and it said it was Iowa State as a 4.5 point favorite. I think Iowa State will be able to win this game and cover. I see this as an 86-80 victory.
Mine's a little bit lower scoring than that. I have the Cyclones winning 81 to 76.
Yeah. To be fair, I may have thrown in some garbage time points. I don't know.
I get that. I could see that.
Yeah.
All right, Cody. I want before we go, I wanted to take a look at the other Sweet 16 matchups because we have some pretty good matchups, man. I mean, you can't ask for anything better.
Hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, this Sweet 16, I think the round of 32 is pretty good, and I mean, we've got some really good matchups in this game. And I guess the good thing for us, Iowa State, even though that our game doesn't tip off until is literally the last game of the Sweet 16, we do get the advantages of playing at that last spot because we'll be able to have the opportunity to watch all these like Sweet 16 matches, and there are some major storylines that are going to be happening. Uh, so going, I mean, the first matchup that I'm looking at right would be Duke versus St. John's. John Shire versus Rick Pitino. St. John's coming off that buzzer beater win from uh, Dylan Darling, if that's his name, correct me. But yeah, they're coming up with that, and Duke is looking to. They some people have under it's weird to say, but they Duke feels like they've been underrated a little bit, and I think it's just because of the schedule they play and kind of the way they've kind of limped past Siena, and then I guess the score is a bit deceiving, but they were in a dogfight against TCU, so Duke feels in some way, shape, or form that they are underrated.
Yeah. Really, really excited to see if they can expose the lack of inferior guard play for Duke,
Yeah, and I could
or
see a world.
not lack, but inferior guard play for Duke. My bad.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I think that's one's in DC, I believe.
Yeah, that's in DC.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to find like the TV times and whatnot, but in
That
the
that comes on at 6:10.
oh, is that Thursday or Friday?
That is on Friday.
Okay, so that's on Friday. So and then also looking at the East region as well, you have Michigan State and UConn. Uh,
Yeah,
so
Izzo
this game,
versus Dan Hurley.
yeah, and this game will come on at 8:45 local time in Washington D.C. So this will be the second game. This will also be on Friday. So look at this matchup. I mean, what are you looking at really for UConn and Michigan State? Because I'm leaning Michigan State in this matchup.
I mean, I think Michigan State has a much better team with Jeremy Fears leading the way, and Cohen.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's Alex Caravan
Yeah,
for UConn,
yeah.
and Reed and
Uh,
Terrace Reed. So The combination of Reed and Caravan versus Fears and Cohen, that's going to be an interesting battle.
Hmm.
I do think though that Michigan State will make more plays than UConn.
Yeah,
Um, I think like Michigan, like I said, I have Michigan State in the Final Four,
yeah,
but I don't know, man. I'm feeling that Izzo is gonna make a deep run this year.
yeah. It's one of those old sayings in March Madness: "Don't bet against Tom Izzo in March." And this comes to the case. So that's the matchups in Washington D.C. So that's the East region. We're gonna go to the Thursday matchups because a good thing is we get to have a full day or full night of watching basketball without having to worry about our team.
Oh
Thursday,
yeah,
March 26th, so that's tomorrow. We'll start in the West region where it is the 11 seed Texas Longhorns versus the 2 seed Purdue Boilermakers. And I can't believe people are throwing on the Cinderella story. Some people have thrown the Cinderella tag for Texas. And I'm like, I know Texas is an 11 seed, but you realize this is the Texas Longhorns, right? And one of the biggest budgets in college sports and like the branding of it. I'm like, okay. So
what's up?
I don't know if you had anything for Texas Purdue.
Yeah, I think in this one for Texas Purdue, um, like Texas is. I think we talked about it. I think the thing that I'm gonna be looking at in this game is how Purdue's bigs will go in this game
Hmm.
between with Oscar Clough and Kaufman Wren with Trey Kaufman Wren. Um, like you look at this matchup and you say how do you think Texas could be in this? But I think the X factor for Texas is going to be Dylan Swain.
Hmm.
Has been averaging like 17 points a game, and then also Vocalitis, the
Yes.
guy down low for them, and also Weaver.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty good rebounders, and
Mhm.
Texas being big down low, I think could help them in this game. I just think that Purdue has just way much better elite guard play with Braden Smith leading the way. I think Purdue reigns supreme in this one and moves to the Elite Eight.
Yeah. But it's just the like yeah, Vocatitis looking at the game against Gonzaga, and that was what I just was not expecting. Like I don't know how many people expected Texas um like to really go on this like run so far. But another player that he didn't really stop like he didn't do much outside of, but he did really have an important play. Cameron Heidi, he was the one who drained the dagger three to send Texas to the Sweet 16. So that's someone to look out for. Maybe that shot gets him going because although that was his only points of the game, that
Yeah,
was such a crucial play. So you know his confidence has to be up in some way after that. So
right.
so that'll be the first game. That game will be on CBS, and then we that game followed up in San Jose. It will be number 4 seeded Arkansas taking on the number 1 seed in the West region, the Arizona Wildcats. Arkansas getting to the Sweet 16. I believe this is the second year in a row.
Second year in a row, yeah.
Yep. And then for Arizona, this is where you've obviously gotten the Sweet 16. It's nice to get here, but you know the Arizona fans, they want to go get more. They want to go to the Final Four. But not even just that, they want to go to the national championship and win a national championship. So for them, this is a major test for them.
Final Four would be somewhere where they haven't been since 2001. And the national championship is something that they've been searching for since 1997. So
Hmm.
it's been 25 plus years for both of those. It has got to give for Arizona. It's now or never for them.
Yeah. And for Arizona, I also look at the play of Braden Burries, Koa Pete, Jaden Bradley, and Mo Krivas, just how deep Arizona is, I really like their chances. But watch out for Darius Acuff, though. Darius Acuff, Trevor Brazil could be two guys on Arkansas and being coached by John Calipari that could give Arizona some issues.
Mm-hmm. It'll be an interesting matchup. That's for sure.
Mhm. So you go from the West region to the South region. We head to the Toyota Center, we head to Houston, Texas, where, oh boy, Tyler, this is going to be probably World War III inside of a building. Is the 9 seeded Iowa Hawkeyes versus the four-seeded Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Sweet 16. Winner of this game goes to the Elite Eight and also wins the season series between the Hawkeyes and the Cornhuskers.
It's gonna be an interesting clash of styles. Nebraska likes to play a more faster type of style, sort of like a little bit of what Hoy ball is. I think, but I think a little bit better players.
Yeah, and
Iowa
defense.
and they actually play defense on this one. So this is what Iowa State would have been if they could have played defense. Iowa, obviously, we talked about how they like to play like a slower type of ball and like calculated
Yeah,
risk on offense
I mean,
and being efficient
yeah,
and
it
getting
carries over
shots.
from the days of well, it's been McCullum ball. Like it's very calculated, and it's Bennett Sturts, who's obviously gonna be the main guy. Like it's the Iowa Hawkeyes team is their Bennett Sturts and role players, but the role players have stepped up for Iowa, and I mean they were like on paper they were really outmatched against Florida. Like you had like what some people labeled as a bunch of D2 guys going up against the press front court in all college basketball, and Iowa didn't just meet Florida in terms of like being physical down low. They exceeded them in some way, shape, or form because they were getting in there and they really kept it close and they forced Florida to really make dumb mistakes. And ultimately, Iowa was able to win that with the role players stepping up. Tavion Banks really stepped up that day. Cooper Koch had some really good threes, and then Alvaro Fulgaris obviously had that shot that's gonna forever live in Hawkeye men's basketball lore to knock out Florida. So you know those guys, they're gonna be feeling great. And I mean, Iowa, Nebraska. Who would have thought 2 years ago that these two would be meeting in the Sweet 16, and winner goes to the Elite Eight?
I trust me, I wouldn't have said it.
That,
I wouldn't have thought there would have been no way.
uh, over under on how many cases of Bush Light is going to be consumed in the city of Houston and the surrounding area.
40.
I'm going. I'm smashing the over,
Yeah, give me the over. Yeah, because Iowa fans drink a lot.
and so does Nebraska.
So did Nebraska.
Yeah, like I don't think Houston really will ever understand the full impact of bringing Iowa fans and the like two fan bases from the Midwest and Bush Light.
And then, as you see, Houston is facing another team from the Big Ten, the Illinois Fighting Illini. This is going to be an interesting game. Uh, two different classes of styles. This is the number two Ken Palm ranked offense versus the number four Ken Palm ranked defense. So something has got to give. I'll say this. I think it's going to be similar to what we sort of saw, maybe like the game between 2 years ago between Illinois and Iowa State. I think this is going to be a similar type of game. It's really going to depend on if Illinois can make their shots, because I think
Mm-hmm.
this could be a game where Illinois could beat Houston. I just think that Houston is going to have the edge, though, just defensively. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're going to be
And,
able to frustrate Illinois shooters.
and I mean, this game is literally 2.5 miles away from the campus of the University of Houston, so there's no excuse for the Houston Cougar fans to not show up to this game and buy up those tickets. If you ask me.
Yes, exactly.
So I feel like looking at this here, the path is wide open for Houston to go to the Final Four with like after Iowa knocked out Florida, the winner of Illinois Houston, they're looking at that Iowa Nebraska game and they're both licking their chops at whoever like comes out of that game.
Oh, that's for sure. And then lastly, um, with the last game we're going to cover is Michigan, Alabama. Alabama playing a breakneck type of pace that loves just run, go, and score. They can't guard anyone, but they love to score. If they're not stopped, they definitely could beat Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at that, just the thing is, I feel like this matches up well for Michigan. I feel like Michigan's matched up well against Alabama because Michigan just they could just they I think Michigan was one of those teams that they can really meet Alabama and not give them those like 3 point looks.
Mm-hmm.
So and that will be the first game of Chicago. So that'll be on TBS and True TV. And I mean, you've already given us the travel tips to Chicago, but just what are you supposed to do all day if you're Iowa State on Friday? Like
Mm.
Like,
I
like
mean, I know that the the like the send off for them is like at 7 something, but I
mhm,
guess what they're probably gonna do is just be in the hotel all day in Chicago.
yeah,
So probably just hang out all day and probably watch all these other games because I think that's really the only thing that you can do.
yeah, I would guess so.
Try not to help hype yourself too much
Yeah,
over the game.
yeah, for sure. And I'm like, and speaking of that, I'm curious what the media availability is going to be for Iowa State because obviously the big thing would be is Josh Jefferson going to play? Is he not going to play?
I think that might not be something we know until tip off because
Yeah.
I think that's when they're gonna that's probably when they're gonna announce it. Obviously, this is not a confirmed thing. It's just my opinion. That's probably what when we're gonna find out.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe sometime tomorrow.
Hmm. Okay. So, so we've gone from like talking about like the games itself, and well, obviously now that like a lot of these teams, like we only have this left, like to fill the void. Now we've got like the head coach, like because Monday after the first weekend is the start of like this coaching cycle and what's been going on. Because there have been some news related to the Big 12 and obviously TJ Otzelberger. Uh, one of the biggest news would be Hubert Davis is no longer the head coach at North Carolina. It has officially been made official, I think, yesterday.
Yeah,
So, and among the lists of like, here's the list of like potential next head coaches for
yeah.
North Carolina: Billy Donovan, T.J. Otzelberger, Tommy Lloyd, Nate Oates, Mark Biddington, and Grant McCaslam. Now, obviously, for one reason or another, everybody's going to keep tagging like T.J. Otzelberger as like a hot name to go to North Carolina, whether it's for serious or to troll us.
Yeah, I think Tommy Lee would actually be a really good pick. And as contrary to popular belief, Billy Donovan would also be a really good fit at North Carolina, based
Hmm.
on the fact that he had success coaching in college. He was the head
Yeah.
coach at Florida
Hmm.
when they won those back-to-back national titles, so
Yeah.
he knows how to win championships.
Yeah.
And he knows ball, so that'd be a great man.
Hmm.
Obviously, TJ, Tommy Lloyd would be a great hire for UNC as well.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, it's crazy how like we get this happen, like this opening happening, and you have at least four fan bases that are just like that are just going at Iowa State fans. Say TJ going to North Carolina. It's North Carolina fans, obviously. It's Iowa fans and Kentucky fans, probably, and even Tennessee fans are going at us with it. I saw one like Tennessee account say like, "Oh yeah, Ball Nation flood every Iowa State basketball every post asking if their coach is going to accept North Carolina's offer." So
I
they're
saw that.
basically,
I was like, y'all better be worried about beating us.
yeah. This tells me that I said this too. This is my rebuttal. I'm like ducking the smoke, eh?
Yeah, because they are ducking this one because they know they're gonna lose.
Yeah. So if you think you're gonna win this game, then like obviously you think you're trolling, but it just tells me too that like part of you fear TJ Altenberg going up against you. Yeah. Okay. So another name that has been tossed around too earlier today was Bill Self. Now Rob Reinhart um, reported, yeah, earlier like in the morning, like at like 6 something this morning,
Hmm.
that he put like the post saying Kansas head coach Bill Self is retiring, and then later on the day, Bill Self went on to went on the Kansas City Star radio and said, "BS, bad info," and there have been like obviously those rumors of Bill Self retiring, and like some of the names that have been tossed around if he was to retire would have been like Jack Vaughn, probably TJ again, and I think I've even seen I may have thrown this one around Ben McCollum.
I could see that as well. Um, I mean, every time you have a chance to coach at KU, you always got to consider it.
Hmm. So that's just a lot like and then some other coaching. I don't know if we talked about it already
Yeah.
on the show, but Jared Calhoun went to is what the head coach of Cincinnati officially.
Yeah, and it was a good fit. He's actually a Cincinnati native,
Hmm.
so it actually makes sense. So we'll see if it's the right fit, right coach, right time for
Yep.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, and then speaking of Cincinnati, former head coach Wes Miller, he's off to UNC Charlotte, and I think that is probably a good fit for Wes Miller too, because I mean he's familiar with that. I mean, he was at Greensboro, so he's very
Right.
familiar with that level.
And I think he voluntarily decided to go down and take that job because he didn't want to get fired. So
Yeah,
that
and
actually makes sense.
yeah, and I'm just thinking of some other names. Johnny Dawkins, I saw he got extended, and I think that extension makes sense because what he's built at UCF has been nothing but amazing, especially for the budget that they have.
Yeah.
So a lot of these like coaches' names, and then I think we obviously already talked about this, but Greg McDermott retiring from
Hmm.
Creighton. They've already named Alma Huss as the next head coach for the Creighton Blue Jays. Trying to see if anything else. Oh yeah, Randy Bennett got named the next head
Hmm.
coach at St. Mary's or at Arizona State after
Arizona
coming,
State. Yeah.
yeah, after 25 years at St. Mary's, and I feel like that makes sense for him because he's from the Phoenix area. So why not uh, like go out and like let the sun set or whatever that phrase is in your home, like in a place near you.
Right. All right. I think we're going to end it here today. A few things before we go. A big thanks to FanDuel for being our presenting sponsor. Um, if you want to find us on Twitter, you can find Cody at Joshua Jefferson's ankle boot. If you want to find me at Side Tie Guy. Also to uh, um, and lastly, follow us on social media. We have six forms of social media: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. And also, I am going to be doing a bonus show tonight with one of our guests. So make sure you tune in for that at 6 p.m. All right, guys, that is your show today for the Believe in Iowa State podcast for Tyler Carter.
And for Cody Van Seelen,
This is the Believe in Iowa State podcast. Roll clones, baby.
go Cyclones.
All right.